And I'll do a quick welcome, so cool. Okay. Okay, good afternoon everyone, and welcome to the Computing and IT Open Event webinar. I'll shortly be handing over to Gary Morgan, who's the Head of Department for Computing and IT, and he'll be delivering a short presentation just about college life and about the courses that we offer. We do have a live Q&A session at the end of the presentation, so if you do have any questions during or after, do drop these in the live Q&A box and we will be able to answer these at the end. The webinar will be recorded and it will be available to view on our website from next week. So if you do want to revisit to find out more or you're not sure on something, you will be able to do so. So I'd now like to hand over to Gary, who'll be delivering a short presentation about our courses. Okay.
Thanks, George. So as George said, thank you for coming along this afternoon. I'm very pleased to be doing a virtual event. Obviously, hopefully we're going to share some information that you'll find useful. And as George said, just to reiterate, if there's any questions, anything at all, just pop them into the chat. And then I've got some colleagues here with me as well, and we'll be able to clear those up when we get to the end of the presentation. So without further ado, just a little breakdown of what the webinar is about. So obviously the live Q&A really important if we don't cover anything off. A little bit about the courses, course information, the levels. There's a little bit about what you can expect as a student at the college. Talks about, is the course right for you? Then that's about levels. And then we go into the admin side of things. So how do you apply for the course if you wanted to move along and you wanted to explore a place with Oaklands College, which we hope you will do. So the actual ICT provision, the computing provision, is mostly at the Welwyn Garden City campus. So that's the STEM centre. We've got your usual classrooms. So we've got the programming suites. We've got where you're able to do the multimedia side of IT, obviously the businessy type side. So if you're specialising in applications, but at the campus, we've also got the cyber labs. So there's the opportunity for students to work with virtual operating systems, a whole range of them, so they can test out their skills and their knowledge in a safe environment. So they're not doing any hacking as such, they're not doing anything dangerous, but they're actually learning important skills that will help them sort of in their careers going forward, because security, cyber, the use of IT is only strengthening, and that's going to continue. We've also got a dedicated workshop space for the practical side of things. So for where the students are doing their PC maintenance, stripping, assembling, repairing, troubleshooting PCs. So that's at the Welwyn Garden campus. There's a small offer this year. I don't know if that will remain for next year because we're always talking about it. We offer only level 3 as a discrete group at the Smallford at the St Albans campus. But again, ICT, Welwyn Garden City. And again, lots and lots of great resources that you can see around the campus. We've got Hair and Beauties here. We've got the drama theatre. So the college is very, very proud of its professional real world workspaces that let the students, not just in my curriculum area, but across all the other curriculum areas, develop really, really useful skills that are going to help them in their jobs and their careers. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the courses. We've got some pictures there. Some of my colleagues are with us today, so when we get to the Q&A, you may well see some of these individuals live. So that'd be Asif, maybe Richard, Colin, and they'll be able to help with any questions that you might have, and obviously I'll be there as well. So we run from level 1 through level 3. All of our courses are the new or the latest version of those actual BTECs we run. We also offer a City and Guilds at level 2, which is more aimed at the technician type role. So that's for individuals who are thinking, hey, I'm not really thinking about university, I'm thinking about apprenticeship, I want to get into networking or security, I want to get into system support and maintenance. So we all encompass that under level 2, but we've got level 1, level 2, level 3. The level 3s are I'm not going to bore you with the sort of like technical language, but they are the ones that now map and mirror very closely the assessment models of A levels, just to make sure that they've got the full rigor. So there's written exams, not multiple choice, there's actual written exams the students take, and it really does test out their knowledge. We're also offering and moving into the esports. So that's going to be a multi-department offer. So some of the disciplines are covered off by the ICT team. There's sports and business obviously involved in that as well. But that's something to look out for, just because it adds a little bit of extra dimension to what the college can offer for, you know, your sons and daughters, as well as the traditional IT that we've offered and have done for years in all colleges. I would like to say though that the courses, and I'm very, very proud of the staff that we have working at Oaklands College, are staffed by people that have been in the industry. They are actually qualified professionals, not just teachers, and that should be the case in all colleges. So, but I just wanted to mention that because it's really, really important. If someone's teaching you about security, if somebody's teaching you about multimedia design or cloud infrastructure, that they are the genuine article and they're not just somebody who's a teacher teaching from a textbook. So we've talked about the levels, really, really important, whatever college you might go to, but it's something that we are very, very focused in at Oaklands College, which is trying to make sure that everybody is on the right level, they're starting at the right point, and they're able to then make the right progress. We don't want students having it too easy. We don't want students having it too difficult. So we've got GCSEs is the reference point we use. As we go up into level 4s and 5s, that becomes then UCAS, just as it is for traditional transition into university. So we've got, so entry, it is possible to do an entry qualification. Most of our students will be joining at level 1 and then at level 2. The 3 GCSEs is that starting point. Okay, ICT, there is programming, there is mathematics involved. You know, when you're doing spreadsheets, you do have to understand how to do averages and sums and be able to write the formulas and create the right sort of coding to make sure that a form that you make will be able to do the job correctly. Having said that, students will come in and be at a starting point based on their GCSE. This year, students have come in with a GCSE result that said they should be on level 2, for example. And within the first 6 weeks, the college operates a very strict process of looking at how somebody's doing, looking how they're progressing with the work. Are they enjoying it? Do they look like they're being stretched? Is it the right course for their career aspirations? And then that's where we would move somebody up. So somebody might be on level 2 based on GCSE, but they're finding it too easy. So we would have a conversation. We would say, you know, we think you're doing okay. We think you're coping with it. How do you feel? You know, we would involve parents in that because it's really, really important that we wouldn't want to force somebody to move up, but we do want to recognise when somebody has got the capability to do and step up above some GCSE results. I also have to say, because we are very, very keen on making sure everyone's at the right level, sometimes we find that students that have done really well with GCSE may not have all the required knowledge. So they might not have done well in their GCSE ICT, for example, or technology exam. So they could easily have 3 GCSEs at grade 3 or D, but they might struggle. Okay, that's all part of what we do. It's not about moving students up or down just for the fun of it. It's about right student, right course, right level. It does guarantee a higher level of success, and more importantly, the higher grades. That's particularly important by the time you get to level 3, because your merits and distinctions actually add to your UCAS tally, which then opens up that opportunity for greater choice of university, which is what we want. We want that choice. If somebody decides to do an apprenticeship, then they will often look at what the grades were. Did someone get a distinction? Did they get a D-star, D-star? Did they get merit, merit? You know, when they're actually trying to divide out and who should we hire and who shouldn't we, because apprenticeship's very competitive. You know, everybody wants to do an apprenticeship, but there never seems to be enough to go around. So that's just something that we're very serious about, and we just need to be, you know, upfront about that and support to make sure everyone's on the right level. So when you come to college, if you're a 16 to 18 student, so you're a full-time student, you're on what the government is called a study program, okay, which is kind of a package of an offer. So the study program is not just doing your level 2 or level 1 or level 3 ICT. It encompasses employability skills, maths and English, personal development. It's an holistic program. So if you don't have maths and English at grade 4 or higher, then the expectation is that you continue to work towards that, and the goal would be that you would achieve that hopefully in your first year, because if you just missed out on in school, then the GCSE tutors, the lessons would then go ahead, and we'd hope we'd get that cleared off in that first year, where you'd probably be on level 2, possibly level 1, so that by the time you are getting onto level 3, you're free to focus on learning all the technical skills, not still trying to catch up with something that didn't work out the year before. If your GCSEs didn't go so well, it's not a problem. There's also the scope to go on to functional skills. So the important thing about this is that we have to keep working towards maths and English, but it's also important to note that there's a starting point for everybody. Okay, so we want you all to do very well on your GCSEs. We'd love it if everybody had those completed, because then we would have more time to spend on the technical skills, whether that be programming, whether it be security, whether it be website development, whether it be back-end web server development, whatever that is, you know, but really important, maths and English. So anyone listening to this presentation, and if we were doing a proper event where you were in front of me rather than through a virtual, I would always say, please try and get these passed and finished off in school as best you can. It just makes your life so much easier. But equally, they're not the be all and end all. It wouldn't stop you getting onto a course in the college, which is why we've got a range from level 1 all the way up to 3 and 4. Part of the study program, you also have to do work experience. So we strive to develop your employability skills. We want you to be able to get a job doing something that you enjoy. So ICT is this presentation. So we're assuming that you want to work in computing, you want to work in technology. So we're looking to develop those employability skills, making sure that you can collaborate, you know, your teamwork's there, you can lead when you need to, you're a good team player, you know, your time management, all of those different things are worked on in the course. But there's also a work experience element that is 20 to 40 hours, depending on what level you're on, where we need you out into industry, you know, getting some real world experience. Now, some of you are probably already doing that. We always have examples where students have built PCs for people, students are working with family members or friends. What I say during these presentations is that the sooner you start looking for that work experience, talk to family, talk to friends, say, hey, look, you do a bit of this. Is there any chance I could do some shadowing? Could I do a bit of work experience if you don't already have that there? We do have great links with employers, so Computer Center, Amazon, I'll talk more about them in a little bit, but it always is more successful if the student is actually looking at this and is working with all the opportunities that are available. And we do have other support in the college, which again, I'll mention in a little bit. It's not the last bit, but another part of it is the personal development. So your maths and English is all passed, your employability skills, they're all honed and notched. You've got a nationally recognised qualification, but then there's also the mechanism of being able to function in modern life, you know, being able to cope with all the demands and the stresses and the strains that everybody will experience. So the college is looking to, as part of their PDR, so the personal development review cycle, so everybody gets a PDR tutor, and that tutor will talk about, you know, your mental health, your physical health. How do you stay safe online? How do you stay safe in the, you know, in the town centre? You know, all these different elements, you know, what's going on in the world, what can we do, how do we interact with it? So that's that holistic element. There's also careers advice and guidance as part of that. So if you're not quite sure what area of IT, you'd be able to talk to your PDR tutor and say, you know, I think it's this, but I'm not quite sure. Can you talk to me a little bit about it? And then they would either signpost you to the best person to talk to, or they'd be able to answer that question for you. And again, throughout the year, there's all sorts of, it's listed here as mental health workshops, but there's all sorts of workshops that go on. How do I write my CV? How do I write my personal statement? How do I have everything in place so that when I've got the skills and I've got the qualification, I can then convince somebody to give me that opportunity and I can move forward. So the lessons, again, full-time course, you know, it's 5 days a week. But again, 5 days a week doesn't mean in college 5 days a week. It's usually 2.5, 3 days. That will be your contact time with your tutor. So that means in lesson, doing some programming, doing some troubleshooting, you know, doing networking, doing your PDR. The rest, you're expected to, you'll be working on assignments, you'll be doing your research tasks, you'll be doing directed study, and there's also some online learning that we use. We have a Cisco Academy that you're able to access, but there's also something called, I'm going to get it wrong, and Asif can correct me later, but I always call it the Ninja software, but it's software that we've purchased. So it's online e-learning software that helps the students get ready for their exams. So it's underpinning their knowledge, and they do that in their own time. We don't have them come to college and just sit in a class and tell them to get on and do that. That would be silly. The assignments, exam-based courses. So we're transitioning now to where it used to be you got an assignment, you did an assignment, you did an assignment, and you moved on. The courses that we offer have been rejigged by the awarding bodies to make sure that they've got more rigor so that they stand up as best possible to A-levels. They're not A-levels, they're equivalent to A-levels at level 3. So they have got written exams now and synoptic practicals. So it's not just a case of somebody going away, sitting in the library, writing an assignment because they've got really good research skills. They have to be able to demonstrate those skills either as a written test, an exam, proper exam, just like with GCSEs and A-levels, or it will be through an observed synoptic assessment where they've got to demonstrate those skills to one of the assessors. The important thing is for any coursework or assessment that the deadlines are met, because awarding bodies now as well, to match the rigor of A-level, if you miss a deadline, you can be locked at a pass. Okay, now that doesn't sound that dramatic, I get locked at a pass, but over the course of a year, if that happens more than once, the amount of UCAS or progression points you can get is seriously impacted. So that's why we spend that time developing time management skills. We want students to be able to cope. We focus on that directed study, the independent study, direct them to go to the LRC. You need to go and work on this. We don't want people missing deadlines because it's really frustrating for everybody involved when you get locked and now your UCAS tally, you have to start rethinking. So right from the outset, I've got to stress that hitting deadlines really important. The type of lesson, so there's tutor presentation, there's practical activities. So I mentioned about the maintenance shop for building the PCs, the networking. There's also program activities, there's group activities. When I say tutor-led presentations, it's usually a PowerPoint, but they're interactive. It's not chalk and talk. It's really, really important that I get that across. So it is about there's student engagement. It may well be that it's a group activity. It may well be that the students are doing a presentation as well. Group and individual activities, that can be in person, not so much at this moment in time, but we're actually using the technology just as we all are today, where you can be put into a group, you can be put into a sub-project team, and then students are getting on and working with that. Last year's students really, really valued that activity when we introduced it for them because of the lockdown. But actually, it's something that's been maintained and kept going now. So the college is fully operational and we're using those same activities and students are demonstrating and enjoying that same type of learning. Canvas is our virtual learning environment. All colleges will have one. We use Canvas. Up on there, there'll be presentations, there will be quizzes, activities, mock exams, there will be messages. So if an employer comes to us and says, I'm looking for an apprentice, do you have anyone? There's this opportunity. So I think one was just posted yesterday by one of the tutors where they're looking to employ 10 students. I mean, that'll go to all colleges, but the great thing about the virtual learning environment, it goes straight on there. And that leads me nicely into the Oaklands app, because you can have a Canvas app, but the Oaklands app as well is a way for students to interact and engage with all the information that's going on in the college. So if there's a message that has to go out, it would then go to that app. So it allows them to know immediately when there's different opportunities that are going on. So it could be to do with student council, could be to do with opportunities with employers, or anything like that. Okay, the app's free to download. So if you even wanted to have a look at it, I don't know what would be the benefit. You wouldn't be able to log into much to it until you're a student, but you know, you can get an idea of the type of information just by looking at the App Store. It will tell you what you can get, see some screenshots. So as well as all the tutors that will teach you, every student will get a personal tutor. Okay, so that's really, really important. That's that single first point of contact. Doesn't have to be. Students will come and find me and talk to me. They'll go and talk to the coordinator or the advanced practitioners. You know, everybody is there available to talk to and help anybody with their problems. But a personal tutor is doing a regular monitoring of progress, asking me how I'm doing, how I'm coping. If they note something in the ILP, the individual learning plan, if they notice that, they'll say to me, Gary, you know, you don't seem to be doing too good with Unit 2. Do you want to talk about it? They'll also mediate between the other tutors. So it'll be a case that if I was struggling and I didn't say anything, they could find that out, talk to the tutor, and interventions can be put in place. It's all about right student, right course, but then giving timely support and intervention. So the personal tutor is that person that the student can go to and say, I'm struggling with my course. But supporting the college goes beyond that. It could be that they're struggling with a friendship, could be they're struggling at home, could be they're struggling in their job. So they can also they can self-refer, or they can talk to their personal tutor and be directed towards the student advisors, the welfare team. They're able to talk to them and offer them guidance, support. There's that holistic wraparound again, help them to understand how to deal with the challenges that everybody faces in life. Could be that they need support financially, you know, bursary, need a laptop, I need to travel to college, I need food, you know, money to support with food. There's all sorts of things that can go on. I'm not going to go through an exhaustive list, but the tutors are able to signpost, or students can self signpost themselves into. The staff is always sitting where they can find them. There's always someone there. And if there isn't, you go to reception because they may well be in a meeting and they're able to contact them and you get an appointment made very quickly. The personal tutor, though, is also that regular point of contact for parents or carers. So once we've had a parents' evening, you know who that is. If you know, when we do our parents' welcome, which we did in a similar format a couple of weeks ago, we identify who your course tutor is. So there's that ability to build up that working relationship so that you can actually know and be involved in the success of your son or daughter. And they can also have a login to their ILP, so you can get to see messages and attendance and things like that if you had concerns. I'm sure most of your sons and daughters would just sit down and show you their ILP, but there's that function that will allow you to be able to keep an eye on it as well. So again, the work experience. So where I said it's always a good idea for students to start thinking about it now and think about, do I have any family or friends? You know, as a college, we appreciate that not everybody is going to have access to someone who works in the computer sector. So the college has got a team, not just a careers hub, but we've got employability mentors who can work with sons and daughters to say, right, what is it you want to do? Have you looked at this? Have you seen this? Oh, I've got this opportunity. And then they can start working and supporting them towards that relevant work experience activity. You know, it is mandatory, it is required. So the sooner that we get the employability mentors in, and that happens early in the year, they come along to PDRs and they will give a talk and explain the options and tell them where they can find them and how they contact them and send me your CV and all of those activities. But there is a good team to help with it. So work experience, it's mandatory, but it's not all down to your sons and daughters or down to you to find them. Okay, the college does support with that. So some of the employers that we work with, again, you know, Amazon have come in, given talks. Amazon have been great with, I think they had some apprenticeships when they came in and talked the last time. They did a virtual talk. Some of the students applied to it, they got shortlisted. And I think one of the students successfully secured an apprenticeship with Amazon Computer Center. They also give placements and visits. One of our students last year was dead set on going to university, but after doing a placement with Computer Center, started thinking about becoming an intern. That's the term that they use. So an intern, but someone with just work experience, actually going in and doing it in a more meaningful way. And the IET, so the IET, they've got premises up in Stevenage. Well, one of our students, first year he did his work experience with IET. They really liked it, so they engaged with us. Second year, he went back to them, and he's now working for them and transitioning to an apprenticeship, which I think he told me starts after Christmas. So, you know, around 96% of our students are successfully progressing through to higher levels, or they will gain an employment place or an apprenticeship. You know, some students decide they're going to go to business. Some students do decide after a year they want to go and do media. So there's a lot of crossover between departments as well. So some of the skills are easily transferable. That's the great thing about IT. So computing is very transferable, and it does allow for moving into engineering as well. And Tesco have worked with the college, and they've got their own security wing, and they worked with the engineering department as well. And the donations of equipment, demonstrations, masterclasses, just doing visits. As I said, the virtual visit from Amazon and then the work with the IoT, it really helps focus and help students understand. So your sons and daughters will know where they can go with the qualifications they're going to gain. I would say as well, we've got some good relationship with employers, but we always are looking for more opportunities to work with employers. So if you're listening to this and you're thinking, oh, hold on a minute, we can get in on that. The college would love to hear from you. Again, there are people at the college that will be the employability team, will liaise and work with you. And there's always new employers coming on board across all the departments. So that's kind of the information about the courses and the support and things like that. This is, you know, what do you do next? I want to get myself a place at Oaklands College. So you just apply for a course online, oaklands.ac.uk. Someone from the admissions team will go through your application. So looking at your entry, what are you saying your expected grades are, or what do you actually have? Then you'll get an email from that team, and it will be an offer. So if they look at your predicted grades, and they might come back and offer you a level 2. If you then get your grades once you've completed them at school, or they come back that they're higher, then you just contact the college, and then that offer would be amended to, well, you know, clearly that's a level 3 now. If it went the other way, there'd be a discussion around that. But your enrolment would be at the end of August. Obviously, the college will contact you nearer the time. There's lots of keep warm activities. In a coming slide, you're going to see about all the different ways that the college engages through social media. So there's always a way to keep up to date with what's happening at the college. And then you would start with us in September. You know, so if you decided to apply and come to the college, which we all hope you would do, you would then be starting your full-time course in September, and then it just follows a normal pattern. Okay, so again, this is just to give you that insight. As you know, social media, I don't know if we've missed anything. I suppose you could argue that there's no Snapchat on there. I think there is Snapchat that the college uses, Snapchat, but you know, you've got all your main ones, your Facebook, your Twitter, your Instagram, your LinkedIn. You know, if you're interested in working for the college as well, there's always an opportunity to look at the LinkedIn pages. YouTube, as George said, this will be up on the YouTube channel once it's all been recorded and edited, and there's TikTok. You know, if you just need more information, you can go onto the live chat. There's info@oaklands.ac.uk. The live chat's been staffed all day today. I think George has already said that. And then you can just think, do you know what? I'm just going to go and apply, and I'm going to go to oaklands.ac.uk, find that level 2 or level 3, and put an application in. And you can do that at any time, obviously, because it's through the internet. Okay, so thank you for listening. I think it's time to hand over to George again now and see if we've got any questions.
Okay, that's great. Thanks, Gary. Yeah, we have had a few questions through. So just like to remind everyone, if you do have any questions, do pop those in the live chat now, and we can go through those. So we've had a question just about can students join computing and IT if they didn't take computer science at school or at GCSE?
Absolutely. The great thing about the computer qualifications in a college course is that they are GCSE will build on them or be useful, particularly with programming and understanding about the different elements of programming languages and the logics. But we've got courses that go all the way from level 1 all the way up, and we teach people that have never done IT before, and they go on and be successful, and students that have done really well in GCSE. So we have a good mix. It's not required to join the course.
Okay, that's great. Thanks, Gary. And we just had another question through. I'm not sure who can answer this one, just about how much coverage there is for modern applications. So there's some examples here, Python, what's this one, Tanzu, yeah, and sort of automation, things like that.
So I'm gonna hand over to Richard or Asif, but I do know that we just installed the Python suite into the theory room there. But I'm going to hand over to Asif or Richard if you'd like to answer that question for us.
I can answer that in terms of programming, but what we do is that we link it on to industry standard software. So yeah, we deliver using Python. We also use Java when we do some of our games development, and we do VB.NET and C#. So we use the traditional programs as well. So those are available, and those are absolutely used. So our links also with industry are that when they discuss with us, they use those languages and tell us which languages they use to develop their particular apps or develop their particular computer games. So that's in terms of programming languages. They're right up to date, and we build upon knowledge that learners have previously, and those who don't have knowledge, we fill in those gaps and make sure that they're really good and strong programmers after they leave our courses.
So I think as well, Georgie, if I'm understanding the question correctly, I think there was a link there to so the Internet of Things or Internet of Everything, so the IoT and the automation and things like that. So that would be probably the link between engineering. So I know engineering focuses in on that more. So we kind of at this moment in time, as Asif said, there's a lot of Python, there's a lot of server side, but moving forward, as the Internet of Things becomes more prevalent, which it's going to. So through the Cisco Academy, we're able to offer qualifications that actually will start to bridge where networking and software has become more integrated. It's not all about hardware and software as a divide now. So, but I think that's probably where that question was going about some of the software that was mentioned. But as Asif said, we're using the sort of the general IT stuff rather than maybe the that link between the automation stuff.
Okay, that's great. Thanks, Asif. Thanks, Gary. I think that answered the question. We just had another question through. Somebody asking if they failed computer science at GCSE, can they still apply for IT? I'm guessing that would be yes, on the condition that they did meet the entry requirements as a whole.
Absolutely, that's exactly what that means, George. Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. So yeah, I'd advise to have a look on our website or have a look at our course guide, sort of for the entry requirements for the specific courses. But the only courses that obviously we do sort of need the grade 4 at, sort of specifically for those courses would be English and Maths, and then along with sort of generally the 5 at grade 4 if you're sort of looking to join at a level 3. So. Okay, so I think that's all the questions we've had. We've just had one more through. Somebody asking, can they do games design as part of the course? I know that sort of falls under media. They do a specific games design course, but would that come under any of the computing courses?
So it's really an interesting question because so games design, it really depends on what aspect. So as you said, media do the games design, which is more around the arty stuff. So the front end. In terms of what we do in IT, it is about the back end programming. So they can do the coding and learn that aspect of it. And then what they would be able to do is move forward into their degree. So the media students would then develop more practical skills around programming if they went on to their university course. And then I'm guessing that if IT students wanted to work in the more artistic side, they'd have to develop their art. But yeah, we cover off games design, but it just really depends on what aspect of games design that is, because there is some separate distinct skills there. But the college, as you said, George, if IT doesn't do it, then it's the media course. And if someone goes to media, but they prefer more the back end, the development, the coding, then it's IT. So we've got something for that individual, definitely at the college.
Okay, that's great. Thanks, Gary. We just had another question through, which I can probably answer. Is level 3 equivalent to A levels? So a 90 credit level 3 is equivalent to A levels, yes. We've had a question through about software again, asking which software we use mainly for programming. Is anyone able to answer sort of primarily which sort of programs we use for that?
We use Visual Studio, and that's the IDE that we use, but also use something. We've downloaded some Java software as well. So we do use the latest software, integrated development environments to do our software programming.
It's Python as well. So
yeah. Python 3.9 is what we're using at the moment.
Okay, that's great, thank you. And then just one last question has come through, just about data analysis. Is there anything on any of the courses about sort of data analysis side of things?
We haven't sort of specialised on that pathway in terms of sort of big data. We are looking at do we need a pathway for big data, so data scientists, because the person who's asked that question is obviously very aware that that is one of the other big elements that's sort of developing in IT with artificial intelligence, and that it's all around how you manage and gather that amount of data. We wouldn't, I don't think, I mean, the team can jump in on this because obviously they're delivering the units and I'm not teaching those units. I don't think right now that I would feel comfortable saying to somebody, you'll be a data scientist, be able to do big data by the time you finish the courses with us. Guys, can you jump in?
Yeah, just to add to what Gary said, in terms of data analysis, what we basically do is we kind of analyze data using some of the basic data analytic tools, like using use cases. We use flowcharts. We use different data analysis designs so that students can actually know how to tabulate data to get to get reports. So before they can start maybe jumping in the next stage of the data. So we analyze data in a way, but not holistically, but we still have some elements of data analysis using some of the key elements using from the British Computer Society. Yeah, so yeah.
Thanks, Richard. Actually, yeah, I'd forgotten that, Richard, because obviously on the level 3 now with the core units, data science is covered off a little bit there in those core units, isn't it? Unit 1, I think.
Yeah.
Thanks, Richard.
Okay, thanks for that, Richard. And just one last question we've had through. Could you tell us about the new eSport course? I don't know whether anyone knows.
The
eSport. Sorry, eSport. I read that wrong. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the college is looking to offer the eSport course, which again will be a collaboration between different departments, because it's not actually just one element that we would do. So we would do things like the networking and some of the programming and the coding side of it. But there's also around how do you run an esports business. There's also about the health and the sports side of it, which would then be done by the sports department. So it's going to be a collaborated on program where you will go to the specialists in the different departments to actually be taught those elements. So yeah, it's a new thing. It's been going for a little while, I'm told, but it's kind of a new thing. It's not sitting playing esports. It's about the world of esports and the businesses and how they operate. So it's kind of for people that are interested or have done some. So it is for people who play games, you know, and they maybe want to work in that sector. But rather than it be about games, it's actually about esports. So where you see professional racing drivers now doing it in rigs and simulators and all the other types of activities they can do. But the course is around the running of a business, the setting up of a business, the understanding the health and other regulatory factors that go into that. So it's kind of a businessy sport type IT course.
Okay, that's great. Thanks, Gary. So I think that's all the questions we've had through for now. So if you do have any further questions after the webinar has ended, please do get in touch with us via the contact details on our website. We hope you found the webinar useful and thank you for listening. We do have other webinars taking place this afternoon. So if you're interested in some of our other courses, maybe, do head back to our website and we do have links to the webinars there. So we also have information on careers advice and guidance, and we do have our careers and advice teams on our website's live chat as well, if you do have any further queries before 3 o'clock. Okay, well, thank you everyone for listening, and we hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.